Hi, welcome to English 4, fourth quarter, week 1. This is teacher Sherilyn T. Elizaga, and I will be discussing our topic for this week, which is fiction, non-fiction of a short story with its complete elements. For the objective, at the end of the lesson, you need to learn how to write a short story, fiction or non-fiction, with its complete elements. Now the question is, how are we going to write a short story with its complete elements, whether it's fiction or non-fiction? Now for us to find out, let's proceed to let's understand. For the let's understand, of course, studying the story elements and structure of fiction and non-fiction are important to deepen one's reading comprehension. It also helps a learner create his or her own stories. Now, let's answer the question, what is a fiction book? A fiction book tells a story of people, places, or things that are not true. It tells a story and is not based on facts or truth. All fiction books are made up of imaginary. So I have here some examples of fictional characters. So we have Ariel, the Little Mermaid, and also we have Harry Potter, Elsa, and Peter Pan. So when we say fiction book, we have stories that are made up or they are simply imaginary. So again, fiction are imaginary stories and have imaginary characters. Another question. What is a nonfiction book? Nonfiction books contain information about different subjects, people, places, or things. They describe true facts about the topic being written about. All nonfiction books are factual. So here are some examples for nonfiction books. So we have here Winnie, the true story of the bear who inspired Winnie the Pooh. So it is an inspired story based from a true story. So when we say nonfiction, again, they describe true facts, okay? So let's underline this one. They describe true facts about the topic that is being written about. So when we say again nonfiction, they are books that are factual. Okay, so for another example, we have there the marshmallow test. Of course, they are stating facts because they did the test. Another one here, a book about Michelle Obama and the wild trees. Okay, so these are examples of non-fiction book. Let us have some elements of fiction include. Number one, we have characters. When we say characters, it includes the main and supporting characters. So the main characters and supporting characters. Number two, setting. Setting, it tells when and where the story took place. So like what I said, it can be outside the house, inside the house, in the farm, or anywhere as long as you can explain where and of course when the story happened. So when we say when, it includes time or day or year. For example, it happened 2018, so it answers the questions when, or a particular event happened around 7 o'clock in the evening, like yesterday. Something happened like the blood moon, right? So when did it happen? Around, yeah, 7 p.m. So that is considered as a setting. Now for number 3, problem or conflict. So it can be external or internal problems occurred in the story. So uh the problems that happened in the story, uh, why the story happened, why a certain events happened because of this particular problem. Okay, for number 4, we have the plot. So when we say plot, it is the rise and fall of action in the story. So these are series of events. So when we say series of events, for example, a particular problem rises and then it has been resolved. Then after that, another problem again came, and they are going to think of another resolution again. So something like that. So that is considered as the plot of a story. So that is only for fiction stories. Okay? Now for number 5, solution or resolution. When we say solution or resolution, it tells how the problem or conflict is resolved. Number 6, POV or the point of view. It can be the first person or the main character telling the story, which involves the use of I and we, or the third person, or the narrator telling the story, which uses he, she, him, or her. And for number 7, we have theme. It is more than the topic of the story or the message the author is trying to convey. Now let us proceed to some elements of nonfiction, and this includes the following. Of course, we have the real subject or actual persons, places, and events. We also have facts, personal opinion, or a mixture of both. And for the last one, we have the different types of nonfiction and have different purposes. For the text features, we have first the table of contents and index. So when we say table of content, it is a list of the parts of a book or document, while an index is a list of important words, concepts, and other useful materials in a book or a document. So kindly look at the picture to see the difference between the table of content and the index. For the keywords and glossary. When we say keywords, keywords are those words that appear frequently on the website. So they are often not specialized terms. Example, we have the word management. So many glossary items are used frequently, so they also appears as keywords. So these represent the vocabulary to, so to speak, of the word class R and G. Okay, so that is for the keywords and the glossary. So take a look again at the picture as an example. Now let's have photographs and captions. A photograph is also known as a photo. It is an image created by light falling on a photosensitive surface. usually photographic film or an electronic image sensor such as CCD or the CMOS chips, while the captions in some cases uh, are cut lines, of course, distinguish where the caption is a short or usually a one line. So look at the picture. Of course, you can see here the caption for this photo. Okay, so usually it's a prose black under the caption, generally describing the photograph, giving context, or relating it to the article. So this is an example of a caption. Diagram and labels. So this is an example of a science diagram about a dolphin. So a label diagram is a drawing, of course. It can be a drawing, a chart, or a graph that is used to visualize a concept. So label diagrams can be used in math. And here we use this one for science, and also we can use it for language arts in order to help students understand the relationships among different parts of the diagram. So as you can see, the diagram here has, of course, a lot of labels. So we have here eye, pointing to the eye. We have the mouth, eye patch, blowhole. So when we say blowhole, it is considered as their nose. So yes, it is here. And then we have the dorsal fin, tail flukes, and we have the foreflipper. So these are considered as the labels inside a diagram. For maps, charts, and graphs. Can you imagine a nightly weather report without a map? Probably not, right? So a speech on travel, a congressional rezoning meeting, or an international affairs report are also presentations that might call for a large map in front of the room. So if your speech requires some sort of geographic reference, a map is an effective tool. So to use a map, of course, make sure that your audience can see the map properly. And also for the charts and graphs, we use them as an example to indicate, for example, a high school graduation rates are improving. Easy to say and easy to prove, of course, but how are you going to ensure that the audience not only believe you but also buys into your message? So of course you do it with charts and graphs, right? So the power of image is immediate and effective. So there are several types of charts to consider. So sometimes we do use a pie chart. So when we say pie chart, here we have here, this one is the pie chart. It's look like a pizza, right? We also use a bar graph. So this one is considered as a bar graph. Let me use other color so that it will be visible. Yes, this one, yellow one. So this is an example of a bar graph, and to compare and contrast, for comparing and contrast of information. So even this one, this is also considered as a graph. Wait, let me use other color. This one, blue. Yes, so this one is a graph. And we have here, of course, here is the map. Here's the map. And as a whole, we call this one as a chart. Okay? Now, let us have the difference of fiction and nonfiction. For the fiction, it is made to make believe. The purpose is to entertain, and we read fiction to enjoy. It uses story elements like the characters, setting, conflict, resolution, and theme. The stories either never happened or could not really happen. Must be read in order. Gives the reader a theme, moral, or lesson. And also, we have the reader must often infer what is happening. While nonfiction, when we say nonfiction, the information's not usually, but always and must. So, for nonfiction, they always give true information, and the purpose is to give information. So, it has to be factual. It must be factual because you're giving information. Of course, we do not want to have a wrong information, right? So, also for nonfiction, you read them to learn, right? Uses text features, so we have the index, charts, and graphs, photographs, headings, and etc. So, these text features are usually like proof that the thing you read from nonfiction books are factual. So these are considered as proof or evidences. Okay? The text is based on real information. Sections can often be read in any order. Informs the reader or gives direction for doing something. Also, the reader is given direct information. Now let's proceed to let's apply. Now for the direction, you are going to fill in the blanks with the correct answer. Choose your answer inside the box. So inside the box, we have the word theme, fiction, entertain, plot, and setting. Now let us answer these 5 questions. For the first question, the primary purpose of fiction stories is to, of course, that is to entertain. So if you're correct with your answer, kindly give yourself 1 point. And for number 2, blank tells when and where the story took place. So the answer is setting. And number 3, blank is more than the topic of the story or the message the author is trying to convey. So what's the answer? The correct answer is theme. And for number 4, it refers to the rise and fall of action in the story. So when we say the rise and fall of action in the story, that is plot. And for number 5, blank are stories that are just made up and not based on true information. So what's the answer? That is fiction. Now, if you get all correct, give yourself 5 points and you're very good. Let's analyze. Direction. You are going to classify each description below as fiction or non-fiction, and then you are going to write the letter of your answer inside the box. So here are the choices. So we have A, true story or true information. So I did not prepare the box anymore. So instead of doing that, we're going to write or identify whether it is fiction or non-fiction. So when for letter A, when we say true story or true information, what do you think is the right answer? Do you think your answer is the same as mine? Yes, the answer is non-fiction. So when we say true story, true information, factual, that is non-fiction. It's not imaginary, okay? Not letter B. It uses story elements like the characters, setting, conflict, resolution, and theme. So what's your answer? The answer is it is a fiction. And for letter C, we usually read this for fun. So the correct answer when we read something for fun, that is fiction. When we read something for information, that is nonfiction. And then for letter E, the stories either never happened or could not really happen. So it's like impossible to happen, right? Impossible thing to achieve. So usually when things are beyond impossible to happen, right? That is considered as fiction, right? So example, you saw an elephant flying. So you think that is non-fiction or fiction. So of course that is fiction. So things either never happened or could not really happen because in real life, right, we know that elephant cannot fly. Now for letter F, they uses text pictures like the index, charts, and graphs, photographs, headings, and etc. So that is nonfiction. And for the letter G, it has a table of contents and glossary. Yes, nonfiction again. And for the letter H, it has text features like captions and headings. Yes, correct. You're correct. That is nonfiction. And then for the letter I, the story is made up of product of imagination. So if it is only made of imagination, like you imagine that you have a power of mind to read others people's mind, right? So that is what? It's a fiction because it never happened, right? And letter J gives the reader a theme, moral, or a lesson. So, if you read something and of course it emphasizes on the moral value or the lesson that you can get, so that is fiction books or fiction stories. Now, let's summarize, of course, the one that we identified earlier. So for fiction, we have the B uses story elements, character, setting, conflict, resolution, and theme. And letter C, we usually read for fun and uh sorry, but the read for information is for nonfiction. So this one is for nonfiction, okay? Here, it has to be here. And then the stories either never happened or could not really happen. That is for fiction. The story is made up or a product of imagination. That is again a fiction. And then for letter J, it gives the reader a theme, moral, or lesson. So again, just want to clarify the letter D. Okay, here, let's make it red. The read for information, if you wanted to gather some information that are really factual, it has to be nonfiction. So it belongs here. So the letter D needs to be in nonfiction. And for the nonfiction, of course, let's read a true story or true information. So we have the letter A and then letter D. Yes, read for information. And then the next one, letter F, it uses text features, index, charts, and graphs, photographs, headings, and etc. And then for the letter G, it has a table of contents and glossary. Letter H has text features like captions and headings. So usually the covers, right, the photographs has captions and they have headings. Let's try. So here we're going to test your skills whether you learned something from all the exercises that we did during our discussion earlier. So here you are going to answer this on your own, okay? So let me read first the direction. It is a multiple choice, by the way, so you are only going to write the letter of the correct answer before each number. So for the question in number 1, what is the aim rather of nonfiction stories? So the aim of nonfiction stories is A, to entertain, B, to inform, C, to instruct, and letter D, to persuade. So you're going to choose your answer between A, B, C, and letter D. Number 2, which of the following is an example of a fiction story? So A, example, we're asking for an example of fiction story. So A, we have the newspapers. Letter B, a magazine. Letter C, a biography. And letter D, a fantasy. So choose again between A, B, C, and D. Okay, choose the best letter of your answer. Not just the best, but make it correct. Okay? Number 3. Which of the following is not a text feature of nonfiction? So we discussed earlier the different text feature of nonfiction. So letter A, we have the character. Letter C, index. Letter B, charts. And letter D, photographs. So what we are talking about is not a text feature of nonfiction. And then number 4 question, the following are elements of fiction except one. So we have again A, character, letter B, conflict, letter C, setting, and letter D, headings. Number 5, which of the following does not define nonfiction? So A, its purpose is to give information. Letter B, its text is based on real information. Letter C, it gives the reader a theme, moral, or lesson. And letter D, it informs the reader or gives direction for doing something. So again, choose your answer between A, B, C, and D. And by the way, I'll be sending the link for your Google form for this so that those who are doing their online learning, so you can answer through Google Forms, okay? Now for our Let's Create, the goal is you are going to compose a story. So you just need to choose between fiction or non-fiction that is meaningful to you, okay? So you are going to be the writer, and the situation is like this. While you are staying at home during the quarantine, you have seen an online advertisement at DepEd Parañaque website about story making contest that relates to the life of your favorite pet. So you are going to write a story, short story, whether it's fictional or non-fiction about your pet, and you are going to submit it to be evaluated by the judges. So of course we don't have a judges, but it will be evaluated by me. So for your product performance, make sure that it is a meaningful story, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. So for those who will say, but teacher, we don't have a pet, okay? So those, if you're going to tell me that you don't have a pet, that's why we have the word fiction, right? So you can made up a story about it, right? And then for factual, for example, one of you really have a pet, not just a pet, but pets, many pets, right? So you can do non-fiction short story, okay? So that would be all for this week. So I hope you learned a lot from our topic about the fiction or non-fiction of complete story elements, right? So, thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. And please like and subscribe to my channel so that you will be updated every time I upload a new video about our lesson every week. And I hope this video will help you understand our topic and will help you answer all the activities being asked from your modules. So thank you. See you again. Again, please like and subscribe. Bye.